right now, we wanted to talk about the Transportation Standing Committee. They're going to be meeting to talk about side guards on HRM vehicles. Maybe you've seen them. Maybe you've been rolling along down the highway and you notice on the back of those big transport trucks these things that look like, they look kind of like billboards or signs hanging down underneath. There's a specific purpose for those. And, Council has this report that they've been asked to review. There are some guidelines, some recommendations. The recommendations that they'll be hearing include that they take no further action respecting implementation of side guards on HRM-owned and contractor vehicles. That didn't sit well with our next guest, Sam Austin, who decided to write a letter to Council expressing his disappointment. And hey, thanks again for joining us, Sam. How's everything in the Austin household today?
Things are going well. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. Are you a cyclist? Is that why you're speaking out?
Well, I'm a cyclist. I tend to, truth be, I'm a fair weather cyclist. So during the winter, the bike goes in the garage, and I take transit or take the car in. But then in the summer, I like to cycle. But I don't think it's just a cycling issue either, because pedestrians are impacted by large trucks as well. I was looking at some data this morning, and it's from New York. The trucks are about 4% of the traffic volumes there, but they're responsible for 12% of the pedestrian deaths and 32% of the cycling deaths. So, I mean, the large trucks, they do a lot of damage out there to people.
Well, given that the ultimate damage would be fatality, the report itself that you can download from the website does look at several countries and cities. The United Kingdom, they cite Boston, they looked at Ontario, they spoke with Transport Canada, and they list a number of the cities across our country, none of which are using these side guards right now. So given that they aren't really being used in municipalities, are you barking up the wrong tree? Is it the department that should be responsible, or should this be an industry issue?
Well, it's all of those things. It is an industry issue. Transport Canada has very much not wanted to look at this, but I mean, just to pick on the data there, before anyone's eyes glaze over at it, in the UK they brought in side guards in 1986, and so you had this perfect kind of laboratory of before and then after, where you could actually look at accidents and see how things changed. And what they found there was it was something like 61% of fatalities for cyclists went down, because most cyclists are hit on the side when it comes to trucks. So you had a significant drop in deaths, and you had a smaller drop in serious injuries, but then the minor injuries went up, which is exactly what you would expect to have happen, because having a guard doesn't prevent the accident from happening. It only reduces potentially the severity of it. So you had this great data from the UK, but Transport Canada has really not wanted to accept that. And you've started to see, despite the intransigence at the upper levels of government, you've started to see a push coming from cities themselves, who see the carnage on their own streets, where municipal vehicles interact with pedestrians and cyclists much more often than tractor-trailers do on the highway. So you have New York, Boston, Montreal, Portland have all taken steps in towards side guards. This is a chance for our city to do something bold. We've got our Be Bold slogan. Well, here's a way we could actually save some lives and eliminate some serious injuries. We've had accidents in the city over the last couple of years. A couple ones very tragic. You had Joanna Dean on Windmill in Albro, who was killed by a truck, and the Tim Bousquet pointed out in the Halifax Examiner, you had the woman who died at Barrington and Sackville, and then you also had in Dartmouth, and this one was a municipal vehicle or a contracted municipal vehicle. You had the dump truck that ran over the elderly lady's legs on Breton Street, and she had to have her legs amputated. So this, it has direct impact on our community.
Sam Austin is on the line, a concerned citizen. He's also a planner and someone who is passionate enough to write letters to council. Given, though, that you cited a few examples here and horribly tragic and loss of life, and perhaps this could help lessen the severity of an impact. But if I'm looking here at the United Kingdom under this discussion, it says they exempt specialized vehicles like garbage trucks or even road cleaning trucks, snow removal vehicles. So, in fact, perhaps that if we adopted the same regulations or guidelines that they have, those vehicles involved here in Halifax may not have had them equipped anyway.
Street cleaners probably is one that you wouldn't equip, but there's no reason you can't put it on a garbage truck. The UK exempts them there, but Boston and New York, if you Google side guards, you'll get some great pictures of garbage trucks in both cities with bright yellow guards down there to block people from falling underneath.
The report does suggest there's a cost associated with this, and that's fleshed out: $350,000 to $400,000 for initial fit up plus annual maintenance cost. Is this a money issue? Should this be a money issue, Sam Austin?
Well, I mean, there's always a question. I mean, there's always cost in there, and you're always trying to strike a balance between safety and that. To me, $350,000, $400,000, it sounds like a lot of money, but you have to remember it's a one-time, all-at-once expense because you're going to have to outfit your fleet. After that, the actual cost per vehicle is, I mean, they quote it as $3,000 to $4,000. The results from other cities have shown that it tends to be less. I was poking around today in Montreal, where they've equipped their fleet. Theirs was $1,500 a truck. New York or Boston was $1,800. New York ran at $3,000. So HRM's total might be on the higher side, but even if it is, again, it's a one-time expense on a vehicle that you're going to own for 10 years at least, right? Or 7 years, or whatever the fleet turnover happens to be.
And of course, you could make it a condition of contract. The contractors have them installed.
Yes, and that's actually probably the most exciting thing we could do with this, because once you have some contractors equipping them and you have the municipal vehicles equipping them, well, then you start to create a bit of a kind of a market for that in the city, and a bit of peer pressure, and perhaps you get some of the other players in town who have their own private fleets following suit.
Sam Austin, are you headed to the Center Plan meeting tonight?
I am. I'm definitely going to go. It's an interesting process that's about to begin, and it certainly has the potential to affect so much of the communities in which we live.
Are you confident this will make a difference? Will this plan eventually turn into something that people in this municipality will be happy with and proud of, and developers will like too?
I hope so. I mean, the downtown plan has gotten pretty good reviews over time. I was looking at it this morning, the different areas that they want to bring into the center plan of economics and sustainability, housing, transportation, culture, public spaces. It's quite an ambitious kind of list. But I think for me, the most fundamental thing of it is the nuts and bolts of how are we going to integrate new development into the urban core in Dartmouth and in Peninsula Halifax into the existing residential neighborhoods? We've got a lot of opportunity sites out there like Wise Road, kind of the old Southdale in Dartmouth, the old Sobeys Plaza down there. You've got these kind of areas, and how are we going to see them develop to bring more people into the core?
The only thing sexier than planning is statistics about planning. Sorry, Sam.
I tried to keep it to a minimum.
No, the fair ball. Thanks for writing the letter. Thanks for bringing this story to our attention, and perhaps it will make a difference that your letter may just very well influence at least a few of the councillors on Thursday, members of the Standing Committee.
Well, I hope so. And again, to me, this is a safety issue for people, not just cyclists. I mean, we all spend time as pedestrians on the street, and the trucks take a toll on them as well. So I hope council will give this a second look. It's the direction that most leading cities are going in.
Be bold. Heads up. Thanks, Sam Austin. All the best.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Sam Austin is a planner. We've had a couple of opportunities to speak with him over the last little while. Glad to have his ear. Glad to have his thoughts here on the radio.